She's here.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, and you?
Fine, fine, thank you. Happy to be here.
We are so happy that you are here with us. We're super excited. I know our community is also super excited to know more about you. There are some highs from Mexico, my hometown,
Oh,
um,
hello.
from Peru.
So
I
excited.
love that people in Latin America are joining. How are you today?
Fine, fine. Very happy to be here. It's quite right now. A little bit of sun, so it's quite nice. Where are you now?
I am based in Liechtenstein, which is in the middle of Switzerland and Austria.
You always
Very
have to
small.
explain, right?
Yeah, I always have to say like it's a very small country.
I can relate with that. So, that's
Where
nice.
are you?
I am right now in Finland, but every time like people ask me, where are you from? Guatemala. It's like I have to explain. So it's like I kind of feel like kind of mirror with you right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely. I guess yeah. I mean, we're so happy, and just to give a bit of a context to everyone. This month we're talking a bit about like self-care and mental health, and we really wanted to speak with you because I know you travel a lot and you work and you do like tons of things at the same time, and you are successful in everything.
Oh my God.
I think you are successful in everything.
Oh my God. That's quite lovely to hear. Yeah, I'm gonna share like what I think for me. It's something that I would like to share with the community, and but please feel free if you want to add something because I know you also travel and of course work remotely. So I think we both are going to share quite many interesting views, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And for everyone that it's joining and that it's here, feel free to also ask questions. Maybe we won't ask like answer them right away, but I will like keep them in mind. So yeah, feel free to like ask, add comments or anything you might think it's interesting. Like the idea is to help everyone that's traveling and working remotely.
Of course.
Yeah, so I guess I would love to start with you telling us a bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, everything about yourself.
Yeah, okay. For where we work remotely community, I am Soraya, founder of Viajeras Nómadas Digitales these days. But my digital nomad work remotely journey started in 2017. Actually, at that moment, I was not aware like what exactly was to be a digital nomad or working remotely because at that time the world was not very open about that. Like when I had my first job opportunity, it was like an international company about the hospitality industry, co-working. I was not very aware of what was a co-working space, but I was so hooked by that concept. But I was not very aware at that moment how remote work will be
Hmm.
impacting my life, you know. As I mentioned you last time, it's like sometimes when we are not like aware or we don't know about something very much, we kind of think that it's kind of a scam or it's not real or that is just for what kind of people. But no, it's like the first time I received like the job offer, it was like good money, and I thought, oh my God, is this real? I'm not, you know, it's like, but this is real. In these days, there are more opportunities and more benefits. So, yeah, I started my digital nomad journey with a remote work. So in 2018, because, well, I think we need to discuss this topic next time, like how digital nomads or remote workers date, you know? So yeah, so yeah, that's the main reason why I moved to Finland in 2018 when I got married. So I thought, okay, I'm going to find a job in marketing because I have like a lot of experience in that field. But I was not aware that, okay, the language barrier and Finnish is quite one of the most difficult languages, which I understand and I speak, but not like as a native, and I'm quite limited. But at that moment, I realized that okay, I have to question myself. Like, I'm gonna to accept the jobs that, I mean, that at this moment,
You
this
can
is the
have.
option, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
should I follow my path that I am really passionate about marketing and creative industries? So I realized, oh, remote work is something that I did in the past, and why I'm not going to start instead of searching just for the jobs in the country I was,
Mm-hmm.
or just for the limitation, I thought, no, remote work. So in 3 months, I just mastered my resume and learned how to pitch myself to international companies, and I start working remotely again, living in Europe. So at some point, I think like I'm so in love with remote work because remote work saved my life at some point, you know. But then I was like, okay, there is something missing. So in 2019, I created Viajeras Nómadas Digitales because I realized that there were just a lot of communities just in English, but I thought there are so many Latinas that also want to be digital nomads and travel the world and work remotely or this kind of life. So I think that there is something missing. But so that's how my journey kind of started. Of course, I've been dealing with what I know how is to be a digital nomad. Maybe you can add something else, but working remotely, being freelancer, or having your own business. So those are the things that I experience as a digital nomad
Mm-hmm.
in this,
Yeah.
in a nutshell, journey.
Somebody asked, where are you from originally?
I am from
Uh,
Guatemala and I live
she's from
in
Guatemala.
Finland. Well, I live in Finland 5 months and
Mm-hmm.
I travel the next months around the world.
When it's dark, I guess.
Yes.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, so I mean, I can completely relate to your story. The same happened to me. I also got married, moved to Europe, and yes, like I already had like a career in Mexico, but to have a career here, it's so difficult. The
Yes.
language barrier also and everything. And so I just decided to keep working remotely because I was already working remotely. And I mean, I can just like, keep growing my career and keep doing like the things I love to do while I also travel sometimes. I'm originally from Mexico.
Mhm.
And while I can like go to Mexico, or I can, like take one day off and go to another city close by and everything. And so, I mean, I love working remotely, but I also know it can sometimes be challenging for like your physical health, for your mental health. So how do you deal with all of those things? Like, for example, these 5 months of darkness
Yeah.
when you're traveling, how do you like take care of yourself?
Yeah, I think I am like two different persons in the same body because I can be like kind of in Finland, I feel more like work from home because I do domestic travel. But when I'm like the next month really traveling abroad, it's like I really need to prepare myself. I really need to plan. It isn't just like I'm going to travel tomorrow, let's go. It's not that way. I mean, it's not that easy. There is like a lot of planning before. And let's talk about when I am on the road. Like, for example, I'm going to start traveling this year in October. I'm going to Asia. And then I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
Central America, probably Latin America, and probably going back to Europe or Africa. I don't know. So I'm still. So the first things is like maybe I'm gonna move a little bit later with mental health, a little bit more right now with
Mm-hmm.
is that you need to start looking for I mean your tickets and everything ahead because when you buy ahead like 3 months 4 months the tickets you find best deals like and you can kind of navigate more uh, good prices, right? Good prices
Yeah.
flights in destinations and how you're gonna like move if you're going to the trains and everything. But also thinking about mental health, work traveling is also work. So that means that
Yes.
you are working remotely, but you also, I mean, traveling and exploring feels like a work. Some it's like you want to you have to explore because you are there. It's like you're not going to be all the time in the room or just in a coffee shop working.
Mm-hmm.
So the beautiful thing of remote work is that you need to understand that it's not that like the office at the beginning is difficult, because it really is. I mean, let's face it, at the beginning is like
Yes.
we are working like from 9 to 5 in a coffee shop or at home, or maybe in the bed, and that's not healthy. So we need to be aware that, okay, the first thing I do is like, or I go to the gym or I exercise, or if I am in a lot, like if I'm going to be 2 weeks in a destination, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or more than 1 week, I kind of pay like for me, exercising, it is important. You don't have to be like, oh my God, I'm going to, Rocky at the gym, that kind of, you can run, or you can, that can feel good for you, because
Mm-hmm.
it kind of make you feel like alive, right? Take a shower, put yourself together, that you feel like nice with yourself. That really helps. Also, I have a lot of applications, because I think sometimes something that nobody explained us as digital nomads is like taking care of um, your mindset. I have
Mm-hmm.
one app that I really love. I think the application in the, you can download it in your phone, is called I Am. So that is a
Mm-hmm.
reminder that I set up every hour, so I receive a positive quote. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
feel like really like down or not motivated or something, I just receive the quote and I feel like, yes, like it's like your mindset is really, really important when you are traveling, when you are a digital nomad, when you're working remotely, because you are alone. Maybe, I mean, you are not like, you don't have a set up routine going to the office. So you kind of know how to learn how to organize yourself, but also take care of your thoughts, right? Also, I use
Mm-hmm.
apps to organize my day. I have three favorites: Slack, communication with your team. We all know Slack,
Yeah.
I guess. For working, Monday, it for me is a game changer, Monday. And also, I really like, what is the other one? Pomodoro Technique. So Pomodoro
Mm-hmm.
Technique is like tomato. It is, you can search in Google Pomodoro Technique. It's like you organize your work by blocks, and you rest 15 minutes, and you set up just by task. So I think that's really important while working remotely, but also like your mental health somehow is like, be aware of what you are consuming and be aware to be present. Because something that I really regret is that at the beginning, I was not present. I was just thinking,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is like the Instagram spot, and I need to dress like beautiful for the picture, but I was not present. And after
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic, I realized, oh my God, I love just be present and just kind of avoid technology when I am like in a place that I wanderlust, that I want to be here, and just feel like like your senses, the sun, the moment, the smell, like that's really something that you will remember in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, definitely.
being present is really important.
And it's so hard sometimes, right? Like it has happened to me before that when I'm like, sometimes I travel and work at the same time. And sometimes it's just so hard to kind of like change your mindset, as you said, from like working. Normally what I do is like I wake up earlier and I work in the morning, and
Yeah.
then I use like the rest of the day to like go out and explore. And then in the evening I come back and depending on what I have to do, right? But sometimes even when you're out, for example, it's like, if you get like a notification, or you're thinking of like, I have to go back and do this, or I forgot this, or things like that. And so that's really, really difficult sometimes. And it requires a lot of practice, I think.
It requires a lot of practice, but I think you give a good advice that is like wake up early. Sometimes it's possible. Sometimes it's not when you're tired. If you have like you came late for the
Mm-hmm.
something is. But if you, I think yeah, it's kind of rewarding when you wake up early, because you take the beautiful pictures and you enjoy like the silence of the city before the dynamic hours, and then you feel like, oh, I have a lot of time, and it really
Mm-hmm.
like that. So that's a really nice advice. I've done that before, and yeah, it feels more productive. And then you kind of, what I do is like, I nap during the midday because that's
Mm.
busy time, and it's like I don't feel like so hungry, because then I have breakfast if I wake up early, and then I just nap like 12 a.m. in the sorry, midday. Yeah, 12, and then I go to lunch, and then I feel like, okay, I can start work.
Too.
Yes, especially
Mm-hmm.
while being in Europe and working Latin American time, because I work
Yes.
more like, okay, it's good in European time zone at noon and at night, but also you work like very, very late. That's not healthy. I'm working on that.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But I think you like everything you mentioned, it has to do a lot with knowing yourself and like what works better for you. And because, like we can give advice and we can read blog posts and we can like say a lot of things, but not everything works the same for everyone. So I think one of the things like I've learned the most from remote working and from traveling at the same time is that I really have to like know when I am more productive, which activities I prefer to do, for example, in the morning, which ones in the evening, what is better, as you said, for example, that your audience is mostly in Latin America, right? So in my case, most of the companies we work from with remotely, they are in the US. So it's like a completely different time zone, right? So sometimes in the morning, it's like, okay, I have the whole morning to do whatever I want if I'm in Europe. And then in the evening, I can work. But it requires that kind of, like, yeah, like knowing yourself and like, yeah, trying different things to know what works best for you.
Yeah, and I think also like each destination has its own energy. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to explain that, but yeah, for example, yeah, I don't know. When I'm in Latin America, I feel like I really love to work in the morning. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe the sun is, I don't know, it's just I don't
Shining.
know, yeah, shining. I don't know, but I feel very productive in the morning. But in Europe, I don't feel productive in the morning at all.
Mm.
I feel like at noon I can be noon or night. I can be and let's face it, we cannot be productive every day. It's not humanly possible. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the seasons, It's like we have the summer, the spring, the autumn, winter. We are cyclical every month. It's like sometimes we feel like very with a lot of energy, and then we just feel like so tired, and we really don't know why. So it is important
Mm-hmm.
that we listen to our body. We understand that, okay, I don't feel very productive, so I'm gonna start doing things different. Or maybe I'm also, it's like, what are you consuming? Like, I mean, while traveling, it depends on the destination. But in Asia,
Mm-hmm.
for example, I want to eat everything. Like, every time I'm going to Asia, it's like then I go back to Europe, like 10 extra pounds. So I remember that. Then I feel like, oh my God, I feel more tired because I was eating so much. Like, I just want to eat all the time. So it kind of depends, like the energy of the destination, and you kind of better like if you know yourself, as you mentioned. So I think also the beautiful thing about this is that anything is written. You are learning all
Yes.
the time. You are growing in different ways. You are growing more like in the office, like in university. You are growing all the time. Maybe you know this destination, but next time you visit, just see it with different perception.
Mm-hmm.
That happened to me in Mexico. The first time I feel like
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy a lot Mexico, but
Mm-hmm.
I was the second time I was like, oh my God, I love I really was
Yeah.
there enjoying the tacos. Like, this is life, like
Ah,
this is. So it kind of also depends on which kind of situation personally, and like, uh, we are learning to be present. I think I enjoy Mexico when I was aware that I was present. I was there, you know. So
Yeah.
it's really important to be present.
Just a quick comment. Someone is asking, like, why are we not doing this in Spanish? I would love to do it in Spanish. Obviously, we both speak Spanish, but most of our audience doesn't speak Spanish from we work remotely. And we will use this video for we will publish it in our YouTube. So we really want it to be like available for people all around the world. But if Soraya wants, I'm open to, having another live in Spanish at some point. Like, I would love it. Like,
I will invite
always.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's really important. The beautiful thing about this is like we are diverse, you know. It's like I always try to highlight that English is important because if we want better opportunities, at the end of the day, right now these days, English is the international language. So also while traveling, we are going to speak in English all the time. People will not adjust to Spanish. So we know that, of course, remote work has a different ecosystem in Latin America that we probably are going to discuss that. So
yes.
So yeah, but please just feel free that we both don't speak English as our first language. So try to catch up or try to realize that we don't have to be native English speakers to have a remote job. So
yes, that's so important.
That's important.
And also, if anyone has any question and they don't if you don't feel confident enough to write it in English, feel free to write it in Spanish. We will translate it. We will answer it. So no worries at all. No pressure.
Entonces sin problema pueden dejar.
Exacto, sin problema, sin problema. So yeah, I mean, and talking a bit more and you already mentioned it a bit. Obviously, when you are in your home office or in your home, you have a way of working, and then when you travel, you have to basically change everything. You only have your computer, and you have to adapt to whatever that might be. How do you make sure that when you travel, you have what you need, or what do you really need when you're traveling to feel comfortable working?
Yeah, I think, okay, first things first, your bank card, your card, your credit card. Don't rely only on one, because what happened if, it should hit the fan, it's you lose your credit card, try to hide your money in different areas, just not one credit card or debit card. That's the most important because you will need money if you are traveling and you're far away from home. So also another thing is the insurance. Don't just think that you won't need it, because you will need it. I mean,
yeah, you never know.
You never know. Make sure to the first thing the money, then the insurance, and then your technology, because you don't have there's not any places waiting for you to work. So you have to choose wisely your gadgets. For example, the connectors, the adapters. Also, so
important.
It always happens. I have the MacBook, and I remember in the airport I disconnected, but because you can change the adapter, it just stay there. And when I was I didn't come, I have the charger and I want to connect it. It's I cannot connect my computer, and I have 15%. I was so that those things happens. So remember to your plugs to have all the adapters, and also SIM cards. Always SIM card, especially if your work probably 90% as a digital nomad, 95%. We rely on the internet connection. I had the mistake that I thought because the hotel has good Wi-Fi, I can have my meetings and everything. Sometimes they really don't have good internet, not in Europe. So don't rely just on the internet connection of the hotel or the place you're staying, because they can have basic internet connection, but probably it's not what you really need. So that's really important. I always share my internet with my phone and my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always sharing
Yeah.
internet. So I
And especially if you're like a digital nomad, because one thing is that when you're like, for example, I don't know, sometimes I just take a weekend off and maybe I travel on a Friday, and then I don't really need internet, also because we don't have meetings on Friday. But that's one thing, right? But when I go to a place that I know I will be a longer time there, I really need to like make sure that the internet will be good, that like I have my adapters, as you said, and like all the information you might need if you have like a notebook with your notes, if you have
yeah,
like anything like that, like you really need to kind of like keep in mind, or what I do or what works for me. It's what do I do every day? Like what do I need every day to kind of like work? And so yeah, my computer, my charger, my blah, 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 blah. And then, okay, make a list, make a checklist, and then make sure that you're packing everything. Because yeah, I remember the job I had before we were remotely. When I started working, I think it was like the second or third week, I was traveling and I forgot my computer charger. And so I could not do it. And it was so embarrassing because it was like my second week, and I was like, oh, like they will think like I don't care about the job. And then on that same trip, I had to take a train, and then I was counting on the train having internet, because normally trains have internet. This one didn't have, and so I could not go get to a meeting. I could not even like, hey, I'm sorry, I will miss it. So it was just terrible. But like now when I travel, it's like I prefer not to have meetings at these times. I make sure that I will have my charger or my computer or whatever. So I mean, those things are things that you kind of like learn in the road.
yeah.
But at the moment it's hard.
That's something that I remember that I wanted to mention. Thank you that you bring it to the table, because yeah, don't have meetings the day you're landing to a new country, or the day you're flying, because you never know. It's like, then what happens if, I don't know, you lost the flight, or the connection, or something can happen.
Yeah,
So it's not healthy also for you, because traveling it's also, I mean,
stressful.
it's stressful somehow. It is stressful, and you're tired. Then you go and you want to take a shower, you want to dress, and you want to eat something. You're hungry and you're thinking about the meeting. So that's I never set up meetings when I am the day that I'm
Mm,
in destination, or the day that I'm flying. That's
yeah.
a really good advice. Also, like, I always lose my charger, so I I am aware that happens. I mean, always, like the connector that I mentioned, or that I mean, you're dealing with a lot of things that is normal. Don't feel bad. I mean, don't panic
Hmm.
if that happens. Maybe that's the main reason why I use Apple, because I know that when I go to a
Yeah.
destination, I just search for an Apple store or an Apple distributor, and then I'm like, okay, this is, I know I have to pay that. That's the main reason why I use Apple. And then, like, everything is in the cloud. Try when you're
Hmm.
notes, or try to have everything in Google Drive, for example. Google Drive will save
Yes.
your life. And then
Having everything, yeah, having everything, yeah. Like, I mean, obviously, since we work remotely, we tend to not have anything, like on USBs or whatever. But yeah, sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know, I was working in another place or with another computer.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so important.
Another thing that I want to recommend is that take pictures of everything, like your passport, your
Mm,
insurance card, everything that is your personal documentation, even your luggage. It's like, what if it's lost or something? What?
mm-hmm.
Always try to have the documentation, because you never know. I mean, I lost my passport also. I lost my computer,
Soraya.
passport, connectors, everything. So I think it's kind of, if I will have like a, let's call like a normal life, I will be like more attached to material stuff. But the
Hmm.
more you travel, the less you are attached to material stuff, because you never know. It's like, Yes, that can happen. It's like you're traveling and working remotely. I mean, it's part of the adventure, it's part of the journey. So just be aware that those things probably will happen, and that's fine. I mean, it's not fine at the moment, but it's part of it.
You can laugh at it. You can laugh at it afterwards. No, but that's really important. And also, I think something I struggled with in the beginning was that I wanted to do everything. Like I want to go to every place and I want to work and do everything. Like you cannot have everything. Like that's impossible. So you really have to prioritize really well and like decide what's important for you. I don't know, like if you go to a place, it might be that there are like some, like attractions that everyone is like, I really have to go here, but maybe for you it's not that important, right? So you really need to like kind of like think through and like make plans to like what makes sense for you for your work if you're because also when you're working remotely and even when when you have like your own company like people rely on you and they are expecting from you to like answer messages for examples at some point or if you have customers or anything, so you cannot just like I will just do this whatever at
No.
whatever time, and that doesn't work that way. You really need to organize yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, of course, and that's really important. Like to be aware that you can really not visit all the beautiful places that you see on the blog, because also one mistake that I did in 2019 is like when I went to Indonesia, it's so beautiful now in Thailand, but I was so excited about Asia that I didn't like in the agenda. I didn't like think about like I need a day off to rest. I would just go. And in a moment I was in Singapore and I didn't I barely remember things about Singapore because I was so tired. And I didn't like remember that I need a day off because all
Mm-hmm.
it is a stress. It's beautiful, but it takes energy, it takes planning, it takes a lot of you. I mean, and also working. So you need in your agenda like one day, like when you're working. I mean, working,
Mm-hmm.
you have the weekends off, for example. You need to understand that you need to stop like not just traveling and traveling and traveling just for you, like really you want to be just on the bed. Don't feel guilty that you are in a destination, that you are in a hotel room just doing nothing.
Yeah.
It's fine, it's part to recover. And I remember that I was so tired and I felt guilty, like why I'm not exploring. Don't feel guilty. I mean, you need your rest.
Yes. That's great advice. That is great advice. So I will just mention one comment. Kia Rusol, I hope I'm pronouncing it that correctly. She's studying to be a community manager, and she's asking if like, is there any chance for me to work as a community manager remotely? I suppose she didn't add it, but I suppose it's remotely. I would say yes. What's your opinion?
Of course. I mean, the marketing opportunities are hot, 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 hot. And
Definitely.
this let's stop a little bit and talk about remote job applications. Yes, do not rely only on your experience in one area or just your university degree or the lack of degree that you have. Let's think about your skills. Let's think about your transferable skills or the new skills
Mm.
in the digital fields that you want to improve and learn and to be the best. So the most important is you're going to communicate with another people probably at the other side of the world, and you're going to bring to the table your skills and your solutions. So you like digital marketing, think about what about digital marketing do you like? Do you like writing SEO, or do you like doing content creation, do you like video? What
Mm-hmm.
really is content or digital marketing for you? And just start, for example, go to We Work Remotely and check the marketing opportunities they have and take an idea and make a list. What are companies looking for candidates?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good exercise that you can implement. And of course, you can work remotely as digital marketing. In marketing was the field where when I started working remotely. So
Me too. So it's it's possible.
yeah,
Possible. Even if English is not your first language, 100% possible. You can do it. You just need to practice.
of course. And there are
Just
so
need to
many
practice.
tools these days. Like, I mean, you start with whatever you can start. Start with Netflix if you want, just with the
Mm-hmm.
subtitles, with Duolingo, with Elsa Speak, and then start listening to podcasts and YouTubes. And then, I mean, it's something that you can learn. Definitely is English. You should not see English as a limitation, but
Mm-hmm.
like kind of like abundance. It's like I don't speak English, or my English is not very well, I don't feel confident, but I have this growth mindset that I will be better in 3 months, 6 months, and what I'm going to achieve in the next.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you at the end of the day, that's how you reach your goals. I mean, when I started working remotely, then I want to be freelancer, and I didn't know quite much about freelancing in marketing and
Mm-hmm.
national clients, and I have a lot of rejections, more rejections than like
Yeah, me too.
approve the price. So, and of course, and then also by applying to remote jobs, don't feel bad if you are rejected. I mean, it's part of the process. I mean, that's it. That's fine.
It's part of the process.
It's part of the process. Also, when you start your own company, you're gonna lose like a lot of money thinking that you think that something is going to work, but not necessarily is working. Just start and just tell yourself, like, I want to be this, like, target what do you want in your remote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great advice. Somebody else, I lost the comment, but I saw that they asked like how expensive is internet in Europe. That is a great question. I have no answer to because I have like a local plan which I pay, I don't know, like 12 or 15 euros per month.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are SIM cards that might cost something around the same. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, I think because, well, I have my European like SIM card,
Mm-hmm.
and I pay only 15 euros monthly, and it's really good internet. If I am traveling around Europe, I upgrade because
Mm-hmm.
the roaming is expensive. Last time I didn't,
Mm.
I paid expensive. It was like 60 euros more because I wasn't. So it is like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it depends. You have to check that.
like the roaming.
For example, the plan I have is it covers like the European Union. So,
Mhm.
for example, if you will go to a country that is not part of the European Union, like Switzerland, like Great Britain,
Mhm.
you will have to, and even there are some countries that are not like in the plan. So you really need to check and make sure that you are, like paying for the things you need.
I mean, you can always cancel your plan. You can always use SIM cards. They sell it in the airport like for 1 week, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They're not so expensive compared to how they are going to help you in your life
Yeah.
work. So there are quite many options these days. So I think it should not be a problem to think about like if it is expensive or not, because what is more expensive? Like not doing your work and get fired. So
Definitely.
a SIM card.
Yes, and I mean otherwise, and this is like the risky way, and I've done it. I've traveled without internet, and I just connect, like whenever I can connect, and in the hotels. But that's very risky. Like you have to like deal with that risk.
Mhm. Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. I don't know if we have more questions. Y si
Um,
alguien tiene más preguntas, las puede hacer en español sin ningún problema.
yes. Yeah, I mean the euro is going down, and what's the life cost of a digital nomad in Europe? It really depends on the country you travel to. For example, you're mentioning Barcelona and London. London is so expensive. It's crazy expensive, and Barcelona also, but not as expensive as London. Coming from Latin America, for me, I mean, now I'm getting a bit used to the prices, but coming from Latin America in the beginning, everything was expensive. Or even like the cheap places, for example, in Spain or so, everything was like already expensive. But if you have and this is like a wild guess, so don't like really take it like an absolute answer. But if you have a salary that you get paid in dollars, for example, then you're earning more euros. Of course, things are getting more expensive also. But if you, as Soraya said in the beginning, if you try to book things in advance, if you try to like get cheap flights and things like that, you might be, like having more money if you're being paid in dollars. So that, I mean, that could be like an advantage right now.
The beautiful thing about this digital nomad and remote work is that your clients are international, are for different.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure my advice is that charge in dollars. So people is very used to dollars, and your international clients are very used to dollars. If you're a freelancer or a business owner or a remote worker, most of the companies remotely worldwide, they pay in dollars. So since I have a remote job and working freelancer in my own company, it's like all the time, all dollars was the main option.
Yeah, but like, and also Suresh, who is part of our We Work Remotely team, he's sharing.
In my own company, it's like all the time, all dollars was the main option.
Yeah, but like, and also Suresh, who is part of our We Work Remotely team, he's sharing a website. So go out and check it out, and you will find information there before you travel. The best thing you can do is to like make your research before traveling and like run some numbers and be prepared. Like as Soraya said in the beginning, the key here is to plan. You cannot, like when you're working and traveling, you cannot just like wing it. You really need to plan things.
Yeah, try to avoid, I mean, it is possible to save a lot of money, trust me. Because my husband is the one with the finances, and he said, I mean, I am like, you can save like that. It's an expert, There's some people love saving. So you kind of, for example, in my case, I search flights like time ahead, hotels time ahead. Also, we are traveling as women. I also learn how to not to shop a lot. I love shopping, I love fashion, but these days I just block colors. Like I block colors because when I have like a lot of clothes, it's like you cannot travel with all of that. It's
travel light.
Yeah, it's like you really need to plan. Also, as a woman, I give this advice like you don't need a lot of clothes. It's like try to think the colors of the destination. I go to a page that is called coolers.co, I think. I search the combinations, and then I realized I really don't need like a lot to spend like a lot, but it's just like meant like pieces, but
yes,
just an extra advice.
So another question. I actually both of the questions, and I guess I can. Both of the questions are kind of like the same, and it's about time zones and like how do you get, what's the translation of that? Like how do you work around different time zones?
Time zone, yeah.
And I guess both questions are the same, because the other one is like, how do you handle the time difference? I'm from Mexico, but I want to work for international companies. I love this question. So, I mean, you can go ahead and.
I was just waiting for your answer.
Okay, I can. So it really depends on the company you work for and your customers and everything. I can personally say it's not a problem for me because we are super async and we work remotely. So nobody is like expecting for like answers right away. Nobody is like pressuring you to like have deadline and This, of course, it can get tricky, for example, with calls and things like that, especially if you book the calls when you were in Europe and then you travel and the time zone is completely different. It requires, like many organizational skills, but it's definitely possible. And I think the best thing you can do to work remotely and in different time zones is to set expectations for everyone and to say like, like I will be traveling, I won't be available. Like I won't be available from this time to this time. That's it. Like I won't be. And so if your team knows, if your customers know, if your whoever needs to know, then it shouldn't be a problem as long as you're, doing your work, which maybe it's like the most difficult thing. But as long as you're doing that, it shouldn't be a problem. But it really depends on the culture of the company.
Yeah, I think my advice is like I'm learning like all the time with the time zones. I just because sometimes it's difficult to set up boundaries, but at some point we learn. Like when I am in Europe, I know that I cannot set up meetings like very like at noon late time zone in Latin America because it's really late for me. And I just said, look, I try to set up the meeting
possible
in the morning. Yeah. So that's how it works. It's been working with me when I am in Europe. Of course, when I'm in Latin America, it's like I'm more connected with the time zone because it's Americans. But there is always like the day, like I don't know what happened. Like I think Mondays is quite challenging. I don't know why every Monday.
Yes.
I am connected.
Start of the week.
Yeah, yeah. I think I have at that time the meeting is like, oh my god, it's not this time, it's 1 hour later. It's like sometimes that happens. I don't know why Monday. So it's kind of like because you check your calendar, you think, oh maybe. I mean, I check mine in the morning. So yeah, I mean, it's just to learn what works for you and set up your really important.
Boundaries is so important. Another question we're having, and it's about age. And two people, one person asked like, what's the age limit for these types of jobs? And another person asked like, is 50 a good age to be a digital nomad? I have no experience in being 50, but I think as long as you have the skills, it shouldn't be a problem. Like that's a difficult thing, like to have the skills. And of course, if you have like a ton of experience, you just need to find out what of that experience is relevant in the remote work world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is like kind of perspective and also like know what are your options and be aware of how is the market, like the behavior of the market. So for example, if you have I don't know, because I also receive some messages from people who tell me like, I have 50 and I want a remote job, but I don't have skills, I don't know English. My recommendation is that first, be aware that a remote job requires digital skills and growth mindset more than your time, your years of experience. But what if, okay, you want to be a digital nomad, but what if a remote work at this moment of your life is not what you want, but maybe you want to start your freelancer services, or you want to start your company that you want to run more like with internet connection and the digital, not only by your own, but maybe with some associate company. That can be another option. So think about and be realistic, like what are your options, and you always don't rely only one option. Like when you just for a remote job but you don't have the experience, try to build the experience with the social media is, oh my god, I mean, you can in so many ways through social media, but you have to be consistent, and you need to show up your ideal client, your ideal company, that you know what you are doing, and you need to somehow build your social proof. So maybe
That's so important.
yeah, you want a remote job, or maybe you can start freelancing, or it can be like the other way. That's absolutely possible. I mean, the problem is that sometimes we just want things, but we don't have a plan. Just plan, okay? And then you search for how you're going to show yourself to the world and show to people your skills and what you can. That's more important than the job title or where you're from. I mean, think why I always give this advice, like think about like the person you want to be, life you want in your life, more than the situation you are now in your life.
That's great advice. You're always inspiring. Then another question: are there part-time remote jobs or companies that allow you to have two jobs? You really need to check with the company. I've heard stories of remote workers that have like three jobs at the same time, and it's not a problem for them. But you really need to like be sure about your own skills and like the time you have and like the things you can accomplish, so that you're not like failing in everything, right? But yeah, many companies have part-time jobs. Actually, in work remotely, there's a filter for part-time jobs, so you can like go to it remotely and check it out there. But yeah, definitely there are opportunities for that.
Yeah, I think you have the best answer for that. Mostly check the job opportunities, and also don't, I mean, if you see a company that you really like and you know that they have open position, why don't you ask if you can send your portfolio, and you realize that your skills can be a solution for them? Why don't you just connect with them on LinkedIn or connect with them on social media, I mean, or email? That's also around.
Definitely. Another question: which jobs are the most like the ones that allow you to be like a digital nomad?
Oof, a lot.
All of them. All of them.
Of course,
Your turn.
all works. I mean, the question can be like, can all the jobs be done remotely? And the answer is no. That's why we have nurses. That's why we have doctors. That's why we have people working in restaurants. And I mean, not all the jobs can be done remotely. Let's be aware of that. But a lot of jobs can be optimized to be done remotely. So rely on digital skills that are going to help you land a new remote job. So I don't know. That's what I think, but I want to know.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. Like, like there's always this chance of you to connect with a lot of companies. Like nowadays, it's so easy to find the people that are working at those companies to, like reach out to them. I've seen a lot of companies that on Twitter, for example, they have employees that are like super vocal about their companies and that you can talk with them on LinkedIn too. I saw Marioli from Chili Piper on the comments, for example. If you can follow her on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
maybe Marioli, share your LinkedIn on the comments. But for example, she's a great example of someone that is like super approachable. Like I'm sure a lot of people reach out to her and ask her about Chili Piper and everything, and she can, like help everyone,
Te queremos mucho.
just because we're fans of Marioli.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like at some
You can reach out to her.
Yeah.
Or to everyone.
I think that's a good example that you can change your path if you really stick to your goal. Like, I mean, you can start. The beautiful thing of remote work is like you can start from scratch, and in 6 months, in 1 year, you will be like another kind of professional. Yeah. I think it's the beautiful thing. The reason, I mean, what I really believe, like in my project, Viajeras Nómadas Digitales, is like, I believe in that, like, there should be more options in Latin America for diverse, well, I mean, talent. I mean, what I don't see a lot of digital nomads who look like me, you know. It's like, why? I had like that thing, like, why I need this first, but somehow, like, when the world changed and everything, yeah, I kind of confirmed that I was not crazy. Like, you know, it's like, really, and also like, don't be afraid to share your skills. Don't think that you're oversharing and people will think that you don't know who you will help. You don't know, like, you only need one opportunity. For example, for a remote job, you only need one opportunity.
Yes.
But you need just 3 clients to pay the bills. For example, you don't have 100 people. Like, I mean, it's just reframe your mindset about work and life, because my point is like, you know, I always love work. I mean, I will never say like corporate was, no, I mean, I
No.
corporate jobs I really enjoy, but I also love traveling, and I realized at some point how I'm not going to fight with this corporate Soraya and the wanderlust Soraya. It's like, it is totally possible, and these days, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's the beautiful thing of remote work.
And you know, like I've always said this, remote work is not for everyone, and it's okay. And it's okay. Like I love, as you say, that there's like a diverse world where we can choose what's best for us. And I know for some people it's great to go to a company and, you know, like be with their coworkers and collaborate in person, and that's great. And we need those people also, right? But there are other people that don't need that, or that they prefer traveling like you do, or that they prefer having like their home office like I do. And that's, I think, like, and what we try to always say at Remotely, like, that's it. Like, it's about flexibility. It's not about remote work is the best way to work, or being a digital nomad is the best way to work. It's not about that. It's about finding what works for you. And I think everything in life should be like that, right? Everything should be adapted to what you want and what you need.
Exactly. I think that's really, really, really important, because let's think about, why did you hate remote work? Why did you hate being a digital? Why did you really don't love traveling? That's fine. I mean, just try it. If you don't like it, that means you experience that, and that's absolutely fine. Like, there is, I know, for me, for example, the brother of my husband, he hates traveling, and I, you hate I don't like traveling. Look, I don't like go out from Finland and eat different food, and I miss my bed, and I like my routine. That's fine. And I remember that I had that heated conversation with, like, what's wrong with you? And he was fine. And I realized that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I mean, it's like, that, of course, we are humans, we are different, we are diverse. Or there are some people that just spend like a lot of years like traveling, and then at some point they just don't want to travel anymore. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, definitely.
we're humans, we change, and that's fine.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I guess we're about to go over time. So if anyone has, if anyone has any other question, I think there was like one question there. What do I do to be a digital nomad like you? I don't think there's an easy answer for this. Personally, I would follow Viajeras Nómadas Digitales. Soraya gives great advice on being a digital nomad, on landing your first remote job, and everything. So I think that's a great resource. Like, all the content she posts is so like useful and actionable. So I would follow Soraya. But what would you say?
Yeah.
What would you say, Soraya?
I think that, let's reframe what means for you being a digital nomad, because I want to be very realistic with this terminology or this concept. It's kind of misplaced, because what is for you being a digital nomad? Like, there is a lot of people who only sells like, leave everything and start traveling the world. No, I mean, I think I questioned myself during the pandemic if I was a digital nomad, because I was not traveling at that point. Europe was like a lot of restrictions.
Close.
And we decided with my husband, we are not going to travel. And I was like, okay, we're not going. Yeah, and I question myself. I am fake. I don't know, I am lying about my life. And then I realize what it means for me to be a digital nomad. Let's forget about the beautiful life of travels and working life, everything. Let's forget a little bit about that. Digital nomad for me is a mindset that I will find opportunities no matter where I am or where I am from.
Mm.
I am gonna see the opportunities without uh, barreras geográficas, borders.
Yeah, geographical
Yeah.
limitations, yeah, restrictions.
So that's for me being a digital nomad. If you ask me what it really is to be a digital nomad, is look at the opportunities without borders, and you realize that you are a world of possibilities. That's for me being a digital nomad, if you ask me.
Yes, I think like the most important advice I would give is like just figure out what kind of work you want to have. I mean, obviously, for a lot of people, it's like, it's the dream, right? Like traveling and working and all of that. Um, but it's also okay if it's not for you, and it's also okay if you like, for example, for me personally, like, yeah, I do love traveling. But it's not something that it makes me want to work remotely. Like the reason I work remotely is because I have like complete flexibility to, work whenever, whatever, and just, like be on my own, doing my own thing.
And you love that.
So yes, and I love it. And like traveling, and for example, when the pandemic started, for me, it was not a problem at all not to travel. Like I was just working from home and I was so happy getting things on Amazon and, like just being home. Like for me, it wasn't really not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I also realized that, right? Like that's what's important for me in work, that I can be comfortable, that I can like follow my own schedule, that I can do this. And so I think it's more about like knowing yourself and what you want. And like trying to find something that fits you. I know it's maybe not the easiest if you're doing it for the first time. Like I remember the first remote job I had, it was not as flexible as I wanted, it was not as cool as the one I have right now. Yeah. But it's also a career, so you need to start somewhere. Yeah. And it's possible, like you can work towards that.
I think yes. Your first remote job, I mean, it should not, I mean, doesn't mean that will be perfect, but it's a huge step in your career. So
yes,
think about that. You can always change. I mean, it's like you can always change your mind. You can always change your industry, and yeah, at the end of the day, it's like what makes you happy, what works with your lifestyle, what kind of life do you want. It's like, I mean, if you are maybe you really don't have to travel like 7 months, like or the half of the year or all the year. Maybe it's fine for you if you just have your freedom to, for example, be with your family, be with your, I don't know, with your friends, with your own space, or have the freedom just not. I mean, it's different for everyone. It's like the important thing is that you kind of find balance. At least what I think that is important. I don't know. I want to hear about you, but is that you can find a balance in work and your lifestyle.
Yes, totally. That's what's most important for me. I've been thinking a lot about this, and I really love that I can plan my life and plan the things I want to do, and I really never, like double think about work. I never think like, oh, but I cannot do this because I have work, or I cannot do this because it's always like, for example, now I'm taking German lessons, and for me it's not a problem. Like I can go in the morning at any time, and I don't need to worry about work. I just come back and then I work whenever, like afterwards or whatever. And so that ability to not have to build my life around work, it's amazing, because I know a lot of people are in that situation where they cannot like plan for their vacations, or simply, like go to their child's festival or things like that. especially coming from Mexico, I know a lot of people struggle with that. Like companies, of course, are not that flexible, they're not that open, and sometimes even going to the doctor is a problem, things like that, right? So I really appreciate that I have like this privilege, and I really understand it's a privilege, and I'm talking from a very privileged position where I don't need to worry about that. Like I don't need to worry like if, I don't know, someday was like my sister-in-law, hey, can you take care of my kid? Because like I have, yes, not a problem. I can go to your home and I can, like while she's sleeping, I can like do some work. And it's really not an issue. Like job is not an impediment for me. It's actually something that helps me, like I get paid and I can do stuff with that money, and it's really, really flexible. So like that's my wish for everyone, like that everyone can find that kind of life, that they can build a life that works for them.
Yeah, and everything is changing like very fast paced. So
Yes.
Yeah, the way of hiring, like don't just think about the option like just work, just find a job in your country. Like is really possible to find a better paid job, and you don't have to move. For example, you don't have to go to another country to find that's
Yes.
very interesting.
Yeah, and for example, my first remote job, I got it when I was in Mexico still. So, I was living in Mexico. My life was there, and I got it, and it was not a problem. It took time. It took time, but I could do it in the end.
Time, but it's
Yes, I guess. Another question. I don't know if your English isn't native, how much time does it take to master? I will say something. You can never master a language, ever. So even in Spanish, for me, sometimes it's like I don't know how to say this, or I like what's this, or like now that I'm learning another language, and the teacher is like, yeah, the pluscuamperfect of, and I'm like, I don't even know that in Spanish. So don't be hard on yourself. You like with what you have, it's okay.
Yeah, and I also we can hear you well. Okay. Yeah, I think that's something that I've seen a lot. That, for example, also like applying for jobs. Do not be so hard on yourself if you don't have 100% of the requirements. Think about the 50% of 60%, and you at least understand the language of the industry. I mean, don't be so hard on yourself. That's a wish list at the end of the
Yes.
wish list.
Yes, and yeah, somebody saying in the comments, even most native English speaks don't really speak English that well. Exactly. So
that's
really, that is true. That is true. So really, like, and when you start practicing it more, when you start talking it more, you get better at it. But it's a skill. You can always be better.
Yes, of course. I was a little bit afraid with this live because I mean, we speak Spanish with my husband and with Viajeras Spanish, and here kind of Finnish. People here in the area where I live, they don't speak English. I mean, they probably know, but they don't speak. So it's like I know sometimes my even in Spanish is like I forget words, not because I want, or in English you cannot. It's just try. I mean, people will understand you, and it's really good to have an accent, and it's like the way you are is like your accent, and that's like perfect. I mean, it's not.
Yes.
Yeah, that I think I love this quote. Don't be so hard on yourself. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. And nobody ever will say anything about your accent. Like the only person that cares about an accent or whatever is you. So
That's
the rest, as long as they can understand you, as long as you can like understand each other, shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be a problem. We cannot hear you again.
Oh no, okay, sorry, it's low bad. Yeah, I think this was very interesting live.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much.
Much topics to talk about. I really enjoyed the time here, and definitely I'm going to plan another live so we can discuss different topics in Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy to. I would be happy to. And for everyone that maybe just started watching or joined later, this live will be available, so you can like watch the entire conversation. And maybe if you still have questions or anything, feel free to add comments in the video, or feel free to reach out to Soraya. She's super approachable too. Feel free to reach out to us, and we work remotely. And thank you so much, Soraya, for being
Thank you,
with us today.
Ian. Okay, talk to you soon, and have a lovely day.
Yeah, same. And thank you everyone who joined.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.